Good morning, people. It's 6 a.m. Still dark outside. It's actually 5 a.m. for where I'm at here in Braidwood, Illinois. Deliver this unit half a mile down the street. Sitting at this little gas station, gas and wash. Nice little station. Not too much parking here, but yet there is parking around the outside edge here of the back. And I was told I can overnight, so yep, definitely. Picked up the unit yesterday and showed up here. If I couldn't do it here, there's a Love's 2 miles down the road, so no big deal. That way I don't have to fight morning traffic. However, I'm going to fight evening traffic because I'm dropping this one off. The wife is back in Napanee, Indiana. Probably still sleeping right now. And she will get up and we will bring 2 units and camp out here tonight again and then deliver tomorrow morning. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to touch base on something that I bet you there's probably going to be about 4 people that will remember conversations with me and say I'm talking about them. And you're right. Those 4 people probably right. There's probably a little bit more than that I've had conversations with that this type of conversation has come up. It's in reference to right and wrong, fault, who is correct and who is not. The thing of it is that as humans, I won't say as male or female because it works both ways on each side. As humans, we have a tendency to be right or be wrong. Okay? And I really think in education, this has been used improperly. Okay? The way, and let's touch base on something here. I'm thinking of creating another channel saying, right this moment, I've got it down as text said what, because there's a lot of opinions I have that over the years, I'm 62. Over the years, I have done things that I now look at and say, why did I do it? And I understand why I did it, but at the same time, I still say, why did I do it? Okay? So I'm thinking of doing a video over text said what, and this is going to be one of the things that's going to be there. This conversation here, wrong versus right, who's at fault, who's not at fault, fault versus not at fault. You know, we have got to the point of saying this is the right way to do this. And I really think that should be changed. I think it should be, this is the productive way of doing this. And when you think of a different productive way that becomes a little bit better than this one, even if it shows a better increase, then that could be the next productive way. Okay? If it shows the slightest of a decrease in being productive, but shows a more comparable way of doing it, making it, I don't want to really use the word smarter, but yet, because we always talk about work smarter, not harder, but at the same time, the words it puts less strain on something of your body, then this might be a way of doing it. Okay? And you'll see me struggle with using certain words here today because I'm really trying to to get to this point of what is productive. And being productive, let's touch base on that real quick. Being productive happens to, and you can tell I digress real easy. Being productive is not always being the fastest way, the easiest way, the less strenuous and work way. Being productive is going from point A to point B and achieving a goal. Okay? And there might be 10 ways. We all know Microsoft, they make 15 different ways to do one thing because there's 15 different personalities out there that want to do it 15 different ways, so they had to achieve accomplishing everybody's desire to do something to end up with the same goal. Okay? And all 15 ways, there's not one that's correct, right, or better than the other 14. It all depends on who's looking, because my wife might say, I'm doing plan A, and I'll be sitting back there saying, well, my name's Tex, I'm doing plan X. Okay? Now, with that being said, you understand, hopefully you get an idea of what I'm trying to point out here is doing productive. And like I said, productive is achieving a goal. It's not anything other than that. Achieving the goal of completing a task or getting something, which getting a point across is the same thing as completing a task. Need a hole 10 feet deep. Once you reach 10 feet, the task is completed. That's the goal. Okay? Whether you do it with a hoe, whether you do it with a shovel, whether you do it with a garden spade, that's the difference. Sorry if the thing rocks a little bit because I'm sitting inside of an RV with a table that's not 100% stable, but it's good for the moment. It's doing what it's supposed to do just to get to point A. To point B. Point A to point B, of course. The thing that I'm going to point out, back on track with this right and wrong. Conversations have happened where I've told people he's not right, or told other people she's not right. I've told them to respond with, you educated me in the way you see things, the way you think. Thank you. Can I educate you in the way I see things, in the way I think? Our goal is to get to Fort Worth, Texas. The way I see things, going down 31 to 70 to 44 to 35, and then 35W will get us to Fort Worth. Someone else says, well, the way I see it, going 80 to 57 to 55 to 40 to 30 will get you there. Wrong? No. Both are right. Okay? So, those are two simple examples of achieving the goal. sometimes the goal is not seen. And the next example is going to be one that many people will probably dislike. I don't like to use word hate because hate's a strong word. I wish that people would say right and wrong are strong words and they don't need to be used. Correct and incorrect and things like that would be a little bit more easier to take because they both have the same meanings. This a little bit different. They to me, once again, and this all comes down to opinion. To me, correct means that you did something to equal to that point. And you showed what you did, or you explained what you did, or it was able to see how A to B happened. Instead of, you're right, leaves the space empty, so therefore it's not really easy for everybody to understand why you're right. Okay? There needs to be substance there that says why you're right. Hence, correct all shows working to that substance. Okay? Using that substance to get to that goal. All right? The next example, and like I said, this is controversy, this is definitely opinion, this is definitely going to be off the wall. But this is what goes through my mind. Okay? We are in a battle right now. And when I say we as humans are in a battle. There's people dying from bombs being dropped on them, shots being shot, so forth. And there's some humans that think this is right because this is the point of view from these humans, and this is the way it should be. And the point of view from the humans that's dying is different. Okay? One makes it right and one makes it wrong. Well, we put a uniform on a person and told them, you go kill. And killing is right because you're doing it for your country. And I back the military. Do not get this wrong. We put a uniform on a person and someone shoots at him in the streets of Fort Worth, Texas, and this cop shoots back and kills him. And whatever term you want to use, good shoot, rightfully deserved what happened, rightful reaction, doesn't matter, but yet we teach killing is wrong, but we educate that's a good shoot. The military drops a bomb, that's a good target. Killed only 10 people. Only 10, but killed. Okay? So we come across and we indicate death by killing is okay under certain circumstances. And I agree. Okay, don't get me wrong. I agree 100%. Someone shoots at a cop, that cop has every right to defend himself. And if that means taking a life, then that happens to happen. War happens because countries don't agree. I take this war as we are fighting for the actual to stop someone from trying to be a dictator of more countries than what they need to be. Okay? That's the way I take this war. That's the bottom line to it. That's all we're doing, is trying to stop a dictatorship. Some people say Trump is a dictatorship. Well, let's be realistic. Trump isn't trying to take over all countries. He's not trying to take over really any. He wants to buy a country, Greenland, or is it Iceland? I forget, whichever. Which that's just all part of business. Okay, buying one country, buying another country is not uncommon. It happens. We just don't hear about all these little countries trading off properties for those purposes of business. Okay, but yeah, when you have one that wants to take over and rule, that's a different story. But we're not getting into that right this moment. I know I already started it, but anyway. But to touch base, let's look at it from a science view. A scientist will look at this completely different. And not all scientists, but there's a lot of them out there that looks at this completely different. And Papaw said something to me, and I was probably 10 years old. And I'm 62. And I understood it when I was 10. And I still remember these words. Mother Nature has a way of protecting Earth. And it will do everything it can to do that. And if population grows quickly, it will release the plague. Back in the medieval times. It will release war. Throughout the world's history, we've had wars to stop population from growing too fast. It will work its own magic. So, 1,000 people die in a war from science. That's just lowering the population, or slowing the population's growth. Okay? In the way of science, this is productivity. The world growing from point A to point B, but means that it has to slow down one side of the population a little bit different. We might not agree. The Ice Age was there for a reason. Mother Nature had something to do with it. This is the way I think. This is the way I see things. For some of you have probably heard me say this. This is the way I see it. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. It just means this is the way I see it. And I'm always open to another person to show me, to explain to me, to have a conversation with me, to help me see another way. Because everybody has an opinion of a certain way. Right or wrong. Not really in the matter. It's educating each other is the matter. So the next time the spouse says she's right, no, she isn't. The next time the spouse says he's right, no, he isn't. And the next time someone says Tex is right, no, he isn't. He's wrong. 100%. Because as long as I'm wrong, that means I'm educating. And I'm getting educated. That's the difference. That's where it comes down to. Okay? It is educating for every mistake. 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. So I educated someone how to have 2 plus 2 equal 4. They weren't wrong. It wasn't a mistake. It was an education moment. So I've been educated on how my wife thinks. And my wife has been educated on how I think. And how we take those educations and go forward is what productivity is. If you make the same mistakes 3 times or more and think of a different outcomes coming, then you're just insane. Last point to make. I'm sitting here in just a t-shirt. I have absolutely nothing else on. Am I wrong? Or am I right? Or does it really not matter about the wrong and the right? The productive is making a video. And I think I did that. As always, peace, love, and jelly beans, people. Be safe out there. Don't get in a dispute, an argument, or anything with anyone over who's right and who's wrong. See their opinion, see their way as an education to you. Then ask, are you willing to be educated by what I think? And we may try it one way, and the next time we may try it a different way. I'm not wrong. I'm not right. I'm Tex. Y'all have a good one.